Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Business List, your source for stories inside the party, across the country, and around the world. We are LP Alliance, an intercaucus coalition rebuilding the Libertarian Party, revolutionizing the liberty movement. My name is Amanda Griffiths. I'm joined by Rose Leatherman. We're joined by John Ponte, or a torch. I don't know. I'm not joined by Kyle Davis. He's just here. Everyone, how are you?
We had no choice but to replace Jake Porter. He broke down on us.
Jake was a traitor to the cause, and eventually admitted to it. I don't know why you're saluting Kyle.
He's in Zoom breakout room 4 now.
He will tell you that the monstrousness of his crime is immeasurable in this new stage of struggle. All right.
The crime being he puts his milk in before the cereal.
And also,
that's a gulag worthy offense right there.
It is. I think playing my version of the national anthem of the USSR is a gulag worthy offense. But here we are. We uploaded that as a stinger, and I knew right away that was a mistake. All right. So we have so many things to get to now that Jake is no longer with us for the rest of his life. Stop saluting. Among which we have the Colorado C for Colorado convention.
Take 4.
Exactly, take 4. But we finally took it, as we did the preceding convention as well. For those of you who missed our stream talking about the massive victory with the new chair and vice chair of LP Colorado, it is well worth a watch. That was on Tuesday, our Tuesday Solidarity stream, and we will be publishing shortly a piece on the Torch written about that from an eyewitness's perspective. So, to recap, the convention, this was the 4th convention of the year that LP Colorado tried to put on, and we pulled out, and when I say we, there was the ground team in Colorado, there were organizers in LPA and LP Solidarity doing the hard work, pulled out all the stops, had an amazing team, a slate that had been elected during the August convention, but were then told they were going to have to go through it all over again. We're indeed in court the previous day, thanks to Hannah Goodman and Jim Wiley fighting to have this convention. And even on the day of convention, things looked a little bit uncertain. Mises Caucus also pulled out all the stops and invited Angela McArdle as well as Austin Peterson to speak at that convention.
That's why they lost, right? No one wants to be around them.
No, well, and indeed, Austin Peterson was very upset that nobody came to his speech that night. We should all feel very badly that he had to post about how nobody came to his speech. There was an attempt initially to have Hannah Goodman on the floor voting, which would require having another person sharing the convention.
Saying it as having Hannah Goodman on the floor is just... that is certainly a choice of words.
But nobody, eventually nobody wanted her on the floor. And so she remained the chair of the convention. We did get essentially an all-allied slate out of this. Yep. So again, this is a massive victory that we want to keep talking about, because what it really comes down to, as we were discussing on Tuesday, was it came down to a group of people who just weren't willing to give up. Weren't willing to give up after the 2024 convention, weren't willing to give up in the lead up to that, weren't willing to give up through all the attempts that the former board of Colorado tried to make to disenfranchise them. And this is what it means to have solidarity. This is what it means to persevere. This is what it means to say libertarianism is worth fighting for. Not merely this party, but the name of libertarianism is worth fighting for. And we have enough people to do it. We have enough people who are allied with one another to do it finally. What's next, guys? What does this teach us?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing this teaches us should be given by Tim Allen. And that is definitely to never give up and never surrender. Thank you, Tim.
Right. So initially, like I mean, like you mentioned, they pulled out all the stops. Like they initially tried to ban the delegates who had been at the previous convention, which they
Restraining order,
insisted
yeah.
was fraud. Yeah, which they insisted was fraudulent from even attending, on the grounds that they had somehow done something fraudulently and shouldn't be allowed to even attend.
Yeah, so
It's,
now we have
I mean,
people.
And
Go on.
now they're still maintaining that there was fraud involved somehow, though they haven't exactly explained why it was fraudulent this time.
I mean, we have the accusation, right?
Mhm.
They
Yeah, you support fraud, Kyle.
right, but in a similar vein, we also have that all the people that showed up were actually Democrats. They are the deepest of
right.
plants, having been in the Libertarian Party for 20 plus years, all of them, but secretly Democrats.
All leading up to turning it into a No Kings rally.
Holla.
Exactly. And we do have advice from the author of our upcoming post on the LP Colorado Convention. When you want to say the Libertarian Party is not libertarian, or that's not my party anymore, remember that dropping out is what they want. You can make it better. You can change things by digging in and earning one of those orange wristbands. You matter. And I think that's what people are discovering. We're hearing amazing things from states that other people had written off, wanting to get back into the fray and wanting to build up resistance there. So it's been pretty amazing. And we also know that it's not over, that there will be another convention in April, and we can expect that the Mises leadership will not go down without a fight.
Me talks.
Oh, sure, that stinger wasn't cued correctly, but my freaking national anthem, the USSR, just came right on up.
Okay, somebody is gonna have to at National be like hiding in the background with that song ready to play every time one of the Me Talks people walks up to take their seat.
I'm terrified though that if I go up to the mic or whatever, then mine is gonna play, and it's just gonna be Jeremy on the gears all the way through. All right.
Each of us needs walk-up music for when we take the mic.
There we go. Exactly. And yours is voluntary though. Mine is just me singing. Every one of those, by the way, is my voice. I wrote a choral arrangement of the national anthem of the USSR. That is a clip from it. Every voice that you hear is mine. Moving forward. So yes, Colorado Convention. We have John. What is your analysis of the Colorado Convention, Mr. Blue and Yellow Torch of Liberty?
I can't say I have too much of an analysis, but I do think, at least from what I have seen, this is more speculation on my part. I've honestly been a bit busy with some sort of with personal matters the past week, so I haven't been able to dig too much into it. But at least from what I saw, it was generally it wasn't just a thin majority with many of these elections. It was more of a good majority, either with a difference of either at least 54 the LP Alliance slate, 40 against, or even somewhere close to 60-30. Not getting to there necessarily, but close in that range.
There were 60s though.
There were 60s. Okay,
yeah.
That shows that
it's not unpopular.
Right. So I think it shows generally, even if there's maybe those in Colorado who were supportive of the original ideal of the Mises Caucus or the general ideas, whether Project Decentralized Revolution or not, or if they're more just old timers who are part of the party, or if they're more new in the party, there's a general there seems to have been at least a more general consensus against the majority of the members that what has been going on, what the leadership they had before was doing was not working, and so they decide wipe the slate clean, start off with new leadership, fresh, relatively fresh faces. They may, I think, most likely though, a good amount were, of course, in the Libertarian Party of Colorado beforehand, but generally fresh faces in leadership, some fresh ideas hopefully in there, and overall something new to start, new direction, change of the winds. Hopefully, if it is not just the appearance of change, there will be some like good things coming out of LP Colorado within at least the next year.
Yeah, I imagine.
I was
Go on, Jones.
I was surprised just by how big the split was when it came to like the chair candidate. Like we won, but like by a wide margin, like much wider than I was expecting. I thought like, it originally looked like it might be extremely close. Like initially, early in the morning, it looked like, oh God, we might not have the majority after all. But okay, then yeah, the cavalry did come in. But then, yeah, as more and more of people who are more ideologically aligned with us arrived, like, yeah. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is it's extremely encouraging seeing that not just did our people win, they won by a wide margin.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what we learned actually was that Goodman and Wiley did have a slate. So all of those individuals who ran against NOTA were actually supposed to run against the Mises leadership slate. And after Hannah Goodman lost the chairship so spectacularly, everyone just stood down so as not to be crushed. So we do have that.
Yeah, and then we later find out that we're actually just a very deeply fearful people who can't handle ideas that aren't our own, and that's why the people who won and their supporters didn't stick around to listen to Austin Peterson talk about how awesome Trump is and his libertarian nationalism idea that totally, most definitely isn't just rebranded traditional conservatism.
It's so sad. I thought we were actually going to get something out of it. And again, as I said during our stream on it, like I was prepared to write about it, and there was just nothing to write about. It was ridiculous.
I'm so glad you read it because like I tried to read through it like twice and I just kept zoning out because I'm like there's nothing new here. There's nothing interesting. This is just the same repackaged right-wing statist nationalist crap that we've all heard a million times.
I'm not glad I read it. I'll tell you that right now. But
it was essentially like
you took one for the team, you guys.
I always do, yeah. Kyle, what were you saying?
It was essentially just like, I like W. We should be more like W used to be. But libertarians.
And then some crap about family and society.
We need to all eat at the table together again. Right now, people eating at tray tables and watching TV. That's against family. It's
like bowling alone, but worse. So much worse than bowling alone. So one of the reasons that John is here is because he is discussing with us the amicus that Austin Martin has now filed, I believe, in support of appellants in the matter of Hector Roos et al. Versus Libertarian National Committee. So Austin Martin, no relation to Austin Peterson, because then they would have the same last name, not the same first name, you idiots, has filed an amicus again, in support of Hector Roos. And John, you have done the good service of looking this over in depth. I will note that LP Alliance is named there as an infiltrator caucus.
We got a shout out.
But we did get a shout out.
In the way of his whistle blowing.
And I feel good about that. But what is going on, John? What do we learn from this?
Learning is putting it politely, I think, probably, because I'm not sure if there's much to learn in regards to the specific contents. We do learn a bit more in regards to where these accusations that Austin Martin have made against Build Redpath came from. In the amicus, Martin provides a bunch of footnotes. He doesn't really use them properly insofar as the foot, like he normally like puts multiple footnotes for one specific sentence. But in regards to some of those footnotes, it includes an email that he had sent out to the Libertarian Party's ethics committee in regards to a complaint against Redpath, stating that on a specific conference call around September 10th, possibly it could have possibly been during executive session, because the I believe either the executive committee or the national committee held a meeting on September 7th to talk about, I believe, some issues with litigation, both with New Mexico as well as possibly the SIC report. I don't fully remember off the top of my head, though. So either way, apparently this conference call happened. Oliver Hall was present. The rest of the LNC was present. And Bill Redpath, according to Martin, stated that he received some sort of payment or some sort of payment from the Team Kennedy, or Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s campaign team, for doing ballot access work at the same time as he was doing ballot access work for the Libertarian Party. It might be true. It seems to be in regards to, because when the accusations originally were stated, I had emailed Chair Stephen Nikela trying to request comment from him about that. He has confirmed that there was some member that took payment, but that it was supposedly above the board. I had talked with some other people. I had talked with a former LNC member regarding ballot access. They had said that it was normal for petitioners to do ballot access work for multiple parties, not just the Libertarian Party, at the same time as they did work for the Libertarian Party. I can't really comment on how much that is true, or whether there even is payments that were made. When looking through FEC records, there doesn't appear to be any kind of ballot access payments, either for ballot access consulting or ballot access petitioning, made to Redpath by Team Kennedy. There were payments made to Nick Brana, who people would remember was the co-head, like either the co-leader or the co-head of Angela McArdle's Rage Against the War Machine rally in 2023. I'm not sure if 2024 he was also part of it, but Nick Brana was part of Team Kennedy's work, at least from what I saw. But I've tried to contact Redpath about this. I haven't gotten anything from Redpath yet. I've contacted Nikela about the specific amicus thing. He hasn't gotten back to me about that yet. I've contacted Oliver Hall about it. He provides no comment about that. So at least with Redpath, we don't really have a lot of information to fully figure out whether this was above par or below par, because what information we do have is by people who are supposedly working with the LNC and which are at odds with each other. One saying that like it happened and it was not on par, which would be Martin. Another saying it happened but it was above board. Some not even confirm. Like some, I'm not. We don't really have. It's complicated. And I would like to be able to like make a specific comment in regards to say whether this was right or not. I can't really say that because there doesn't appear to be enough information to figure out if this was above par or not. I do think it's a little bit ironic that Martin is making these complaints. I think I understand in regards to if this was not disclosed properly, it should have been disclosed previously. That would have been at the time a conflict of interest that Bill Redpath should have stated, because even if it's just a little bit of money, I'm of the opinion that whether you have any sort of other source of income, you should be able to like speak that explicitly. However, I'm not sure that really impacts the FEC, the SIC report. Why? Because the SIC report, because even if Redpath did do this, the SIC report started. The Special Investigatory Committee was formed in January, January or February. It was either way formed early 2025. The alleged misdoings by Redpath, at least from my understanding, happened during July of 2024 and ended either July 2024 or soon after July 2024, because it had to deal with New Mexico's ballot access. That's at least what I could garner from Austin Martin's previous comments in public in the LNC, a later LNC meeting, saying that, asking, why did Redpath do this in like New Mexico and whatever. So with that in mind, I'm not sure that would really impact if there's any actual conflict in the SIC report, because it's, even if it was a conflict of interest, which it should have been reported on before, I think in regards to whether Redpath had a conflict of a material interest or a material relationship or whatever sort of conflict of interest at the time of the SIC report was made and like finished, I think the answer is like, no, he did not have a conflict of interest at the time. Should he have disclosed it previously? Yes. But I think in regards to the merits of the investigation, which was looking at what seemed to be like a conflict of interest that was spanning for a long time, the payments to Freedom Calls, for example, ended in January, and the payments for Swing Vote Strategist didn't end until the middle of 2025, when the Kennedy Victory Fund was still running.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. There's a bit of weirdness when it comes to that. When it comes to Kathy Anaskavich, there's also some weirdness, whether because she's a volunteer, that if that would be included in material interest. I couldn't really know for certain in regards to the lawyer speak of it. It's why I didn't comment. It's why I didn't comment on it when I had filed an amicus previously in reaction to Roos's appeal. I don't think Martin understands fully what it means for a material interest or material relationship to be either, because he accused Douglas Nebel, whose only thing was being publicly critical against former chair Angela McArdle. And he said that counts as a material interest or a material relationship.
So
Which
here's my take here. And some people are going to look at this and be like, well, this is not the most important way to do this. And that's fine. You can be mad at me. Here is the Kennedy Victory Fund and Team Kennedy looking for any donation from someone named Redpath. There are none.
what
Here
listed?
is Chase Oliver. There's the maximum amount. And here is to the Libertarian National Committee, where, in this last year and a half block, there's a significant amount. So you can make the argument, potentially, that Bill Redpath got money from Kennedy for the things that he did. You can make that argument. And I can see why that's a problem, that it's conflict of interest. However, Bill Redpath also put his money into our actual candidate, didn't put any money into the other candidate. And at the end of the day, in my mind, it's like Pete Rose. It's like this baseball analogy here, where Pete Rose did something that's against the rules and bet on his own team to win. And so if you're going to fillet someone for betting on their own team, have at that. I think you're a dickhead.
I think another thing as well in regards to ballot petitioning, from what I heard at least, it's not just a thing where he would have been doing ballot petitioning just for Team Kennedy.
Correct.
It would have been where he would be doing ballot petitioning, of course, for the Libertarian Party first and foremost, but also for Team Kennedy, as well as for other candidates, such as maybe the Green Party candidate.
It's through Fair Vote, where he's been working for over decades. And Fair Vote is a place that we routinely have worked with in the past. Like, we believe in RCV. They're pushing for RCV. Whether we believe in RCV is a different question, but libertarians have oft put money behind it.
But George Soros gave money to Fair Vote.
Mm-hmm. We've worked with how many organizations that, okay, we probably disagree with them on many things, but that we're aligned on specific issues. Like, for example, if we were to work with a pro-gun rights organization, there is a very high likelihood that we'd be standing shoulder to shoulder with neocons who we hate pretty much everything about, but we align on this specific issue. Okay? Such an organization would likely get funding or donations from people that we very much disagree with. However, we align on this specific issue, so we work with them. We don't go ahead and endorse their candidates or think that we can make deals with them in other ways. But we'll work with them on issues where we align.
Right.
You could also make the argument that, like, okay, how many people who are in the Libertarian Party have worked with Young Americans for Liberty in the past? Quite a few of them that I know personally. They get substantial funding from the Koch Foundation. This is like saying that if you've ever worked with or volunteered for an organization that gets funding from the Koch Foundation, you're therefore compromised because you're working with the Kochs. Like,
especially someone that does work with the Kochs.
Right. The whole idea is ridiculous. Like, being part of an organization and doing volunteer work for them at some point does not mean that you're inherently compromised by being associated with someone who happens to donate to that organization.
Well,
we know like these special interest groups and these super rich people will donate to all sorts of organizations that are potentially problematic in the hopes of pushing pushing them in a particular direction. Okay, the Kochs did that with things like the Cato Institute and Reason Magazine and Young Americans for Liberty, to ensure that they're pushed in the direction of being a nice, establishment-friendly, watered-down version of libertarianism that doesn't actually threaten their position in society. It's the same with George Soros. He pumps money into all sorts of organizations in the hopes of ensuring that they stay nice and establishment-friendly and not that they don't become actually revolutionary.
Oh, like, George Soros is a hardcore capitalist, man. Like, I mean...
Right, yeah. George Soros does not want to outlaw private ownership of the means of production. Okay.
No.
He wants to be the owner of the means of production.
Yes. In his ideal world, he would own the means of production. It's perfectly consistent.
He and Elon Musk would both have a monocle and a top hat and be fucking Mr. Pennybags if they could get away with it. Like, so it's very weird to me that the same people who are like George Soros is evil are perfectly fine with the idea that Roger Stone was backing those same people, that Elon Musk is backing those same people.
We found a USAID connection, didn't we, with Austin Paget, Angela McArdle's domestic partner? Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not going to hear
matter?
about that.
No.
That's not going to get brought up at LNC meetings, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah.
That wasn't a conflict of interest, but he's literally employed by the LP. Sorry, go on.
I think just overall, like, going a bit back in regards to Red Path, the main thing that I guess I want to focus on, if it is a thing where this was he was doing work on behalf of Fair Vote, where Fair Vote was contracted for some reason by Team Kennedy to do petitioning work. In that case, it would have fallen under the conflict of interest that Red Path had previously. expressed. He had stated that he had stated in his conflict of interests as late as I think early 2024, maybe late 2023, that he had done work with Fair Vote. He was doing work with Fair Vote Illinois. That he was doing work for Citizens for Change, I believe, is another one. Don't quote me exactly on that, but something along those lines, that are focused on more of that ballot access as well as just general voting. With Citizens for Change, I believe, working for trying to advocate for forms of direct democracy, and Fair Vote, of course, advocating for ranked choice voting and the like. But assuming that this was just general petitioning work, it was not petitioning work specifically on behalf of, like, as an employee of Fair Vote. If we are to look at it specifically in regards to whether that conflict of interest was big enough that it could cause an issue with the SIC report, I'm not entirely sure. If it is the case where this was a practice, and at least it seems to have been told to me by a former LNC member, that it was standard practice for petitioners that are petitioning for the Libertarian Party to not just petition for the Libertarian Party, but to petition for it and all independent, as many independent and third party candidates as well, in order to give a greater choice for representatives to be elected, representatives or senators or whatever the like, candidates to be giving the American people a greater choice of candidates to choose. It's a thing where it becomes murky that we need the general information. Do I think necessarily that that means that the SIC report is bunk? No, I don't think Austin Martin's claims have enough proof behind them, or have enough weight behind them to, like, show flaws in the SIC report, especially since he shows in his amicus a certain misunderstanding of legal terminology, as well as a general tendency to add on more information than is not necessary, which we can move into a little bit of him talking about, the Hawaii Convention, which LP allies did participate in, which I've already stated my issues with it. And I've stated that while I heavily disagree with the positions and policies of Austin Martin currently, that I do think his, like, concerns regarding people outside of the Libertarian of Hawaii trying to put their, like, hand on the scales when it comes to the elections of the Libertarian Party of Hawaii is a concern and is a valid
It's just
concern.
ironic because he's with the group that was trying to put their hand on the scale.
Right, like a lot
And
of us
admitted-
had that same concern. I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I want to stoop to that level, but like a lot of us showed up because, just so we could be there on the off chance that the Mises Caucus did the
And
same.
he eventually admitted in our Discord that there were discussions about doing exactly this.
Right, yeah.
Accidentally.
Again,
talked
we're
about
not
having
a
the
monolith,
discussion.
and we don't ban people who don't go along with our plans. So there was a lot of disagreement on this, and surprise, surprise, we're all still together and still having healthy disagreements. But anyway,
Except for one person.
Anyway,
The
yeah.
PTSD is real. I'm having
Yeah.
flashbacks.
So
I think what
I had that
John's
same
remark
concern, but
is
it is funny. It is funny, like, seeing this. Yeah, someone who was associated with a particular group who carried out their takeover by showing up to other states' conventions because their bylaws were written in such a way that they had a loophole that didn't specify that you had to reside in that state. It is funny seeing people have meltdowns when their tactics are turned back around onto them.
It is. It's cute though, and I agree with John about Austin's tendency to incorporate details. It's kind of it's a festivus of all his grievances with everything related to the LP. It kind of reminds me of how, like, when I would write papers in undergrad, I had to say everything about everything, and so you would just get these long. I knew that was coming. You would just get these screeds, and I had to incorporate absolutely every single detail. The drugs helped to work on that, but yeah, no, it's just throwing everything into the pot. It'll be interesting to see how this turns out. I hope he's having fun. I hope he's having fun.
Speaking of Martin, I think we can like move a little bit away in regards to the general amicus, because I think in general we can say with Martin's amicus that it has similar problems to the Roos appeal in regards to misrepresentation, as well as certain misunderstanding of certain facts. And I'm not sure that his sources or references that he cited in the thing help to make that case for him necessarily. But I think we can move on a little bit in regards to talking not just about him, but in regards to the general LNC's response and choices regarding the recent ICE resolution.
Sure.
I don't know if y'all want to start off with that, or if I'm fine with, or if you're
Yeah,
fine with.
I mean,
detailing
I
a
was
little bit.
part of the conversations where this idea was first brought up. Like, it would be a good thing to, I think, have certain people just on the record either saying that they are in favor of what's currently going on with various cities having ICE raids that are just grabbing people off the street who may or may not be here legally, maybe in the process of trying to be here legally, maybe natural born citizens, but just happen to have skin that's slightly more pigmented than it's supposed to be according to certain people. I think, yeah, it's a good idea to just have people on the record for this. And then there were some amendments proposed that, which, like, there was debate over whether there should be a line saying, oh, welfare state bad, blah, 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 because, like, one of the most common counter arguments that you get is that, okay, yeah, in a libertarian society, there would be no state borders, people could migrate wherever they wanted, and then people who are part of various communities could decide who they wanted to admit. But we don't live in a world like that. We live in a world that has a welfare state, in a world where people can vote. And when people can come in and take advantage of welfare programs that we've all had to pay into, then it's not fair to those of us who had to pay into those programs. Like, I would be okay with, like, adding a line saying that we're also against those things, because then that would remove the most common counter argument. Like, just get people on the record saying that they are okay with rounding people up on the basis of nationality and deporting them.
Although it is typically so that the one thing about the welfare state is that's always the argument used for why we have to have immigration enforcement now.
Well,
right?
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm all for having, you know, a line saying that we're also opposed to state-run welfare, because then that's what gives people an out to say, well, I'm voting no on this because there's nothing condemning the welfare state. We don't live in Ancapistan. We live in a world where we have to pay welfare. So yeah, that I would be okay with. So yeah, this was an important resolution. It's not just pointless virtue signaling as was being suggested. It like, there is a reason, and like, we want people on the record saying certain things.
It's
so
good.
We can make our voting decisions next year.
Completely understand the line about the welfare state. The one thing though that I think it's worth noting is that when people say that, right, like we have to dismantle the welfare state first, and then we can talk about immigration. No, we dismantle it. We just dismantle all of it. You don't have steps. You just get rid of it. And then if we get rid of this notion of illegal immigration, then that's more incentive to dismantle the welfare state. Although immigrants take less in welfare, including people who did not immigrate lawfully, than Americans per capita.
Right. They simultaneously are leeching off welfare, but also stealing all
Taking
the jobs.
So I actually posted about this a couple days ago, because I went and looked at the actual numbers and why people are mad and everything. The number that Trump routinely quotes is that immigrants lose us $13 billion a year. Illegal immigrants specifically, what he calls illegal immigrants. Undocumented migrants, whatever you want to call them. Human beings that the government didn't say they kissed their ass enough. That comes from the idea that they have avoided too many taxes because of children and family. So, how much do undocumented immigrants actually pay in taxes? $100 billion a year for the estimated 10 million on the high end estimate immigrants. That's 10 grand per. That is higher than the average American. So these illegal immigrants who are being paid jack shit, they're working for super cheap, which makes our goods cheaper, and their standard of living has gone up, and they are shipping money back, so someone's standard of living in another country is going up. So everybody is in a better place, literally everybody, and they are paying us to do it, but we're going to kick them out because they didn't pay us enough to do it, even though they're already paying more than we are. The math doesn't add up. It's just a stupid lie. And that's why, I keep going back to the fact, and this is my thing, and I think that there are others that agree with me here, but I think that it is purely a racist argument. I know that there are people that are making arguments that aren't about race. And I'm not saying everyone who's making the argument is a racist. I am saying that the actual back end of the argument, the only real argument being made that's based on true anything, is a racist one. They're the people that are saying, we don't want more Latino people here. And that doesn't pass because most people aren't going to fall for that kind of hatred. And so instead, they give propaganda and they twist numbers and they lie about it so that people who are like, oh, well, they shouldn't lose us $13 billion a year. That's ridiculous. And it's just based on nothing. It's just a lie. Right, Joe's right. It's either racist / bigoted or it's ignorance of the actual situation. And those are the only two ways you come to that conclusion. And I have no patience for either of those things.
Right. I mean, like we have official government accounts talking about how defending the homeland, the enemy is at the gates.
Remigrate. Meme wars. It's just meme wars now. The cold meme war.
Right.
The hot war. Who knows?
I saw that whole thing about, like, I think I shared that post where they have that stupid AI generated photo of people with swords surrounded by fog saying the enemy is at the gate. I'm like, okay, I've been trying to warn people about giving 3-letter agencies this amount of power since the Bush administration, that this is going to be the ultimate outcome. And even so, like, it's still so weird seeing government agencies talk like this. Like, I'm still used to the friendly kind of fascism and not the fashy type of fascism, which is what we're seeing now. Like it's
but
so
now they have an
blatant
excuse for the fashy fascism because it's all reactionary, right? Like it's just a reaction to anything that confronts them.
Like now they're just responding to people listing blatant abuses by ICE and DHS, like with memes, where before, like, you'd get some stupid canned like if it was the Bush administration, you get some stupid canned response saying, we take allegations of misconduct very seriously, this will be investigated, blah blah blah. Obviously nothing was going to be done about it, but you'd get at least a canned, professional sounding response.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're just calling you retards on the internet, and this is an official
I'm pulling an image on this
agency.
one because I think it's an important thing to show in this discussion. This is another pastor that has been shot in the face, in this case with a flashbang grenade, for standing here. There is full video of this. He is standing here with his arms down, and an ICE agent pops him in the face with a freaking smoke grenade. This is the point we're at.
This is rapidly becoming normalized. That we just have federal troops on our streets now. We just have federal troops on our streets. It's
there is a secondary part there.
We warned about this. We're like, the whole point in deploying troops to cities is to normalize having fucking military on the streets.
Yep. Yeah.
So Jeremy did point a good thing out.
It.
The comments also pointed out, if you'll notice, it would certainly appear that the agent is excited about what he's doing. Maybe he's pissing himself. It's unclear for sure, but no matter what, something is going on in his pants.
I think he's probably excited by the dinosaur. Let's be real. Now,
did you call it a dinosaur?
There's a dinosaur behind. Oh, it is a dinosaur. It's a horned dinosaur. I stand by this. And the rest of you are wrong.
This is why I said we needed common sense furry control, and you guys didn't listen.
And now the furries are at the gates. So
and now our agents are excited.
But are the furries at the ballroom? So we do know that I guess the ICE agents had his ballroom taken care of. But there is a Trump ballroom being built. I was proud of myself for that one, everyone. I thank you.
It was good.
Yep. So we're gonna have about a $300 million ballroom now that the East Wing of the White House has been demolished. And it will hold up to 999 people. Now, the ballroom, where it's being told has been paid by donors, including Amazon, Apple, Booz Allen Hamilton, Caterpillar, Coinbase, Comcast, Hard Rock International, Google, don't be evil, HP,
And Alphabet, which is also just Google.
Lockheed Martin, Meta, Micron Technology, Microsoft, NextEra Energy, Palantir Technologies, our friends, Ripple, Reynolds American, T-Mobile, Tether, Union Pacific Railroad, and some private donors as well. And the Winklevoss twins. Of course, the full list can be found on MSN and NBC News. So Trump is saying it won't interfere with the current building, yet the East Wing has been demolished. What is going on?
Have you ever heard of well, I think, of course, in regards to the monetary thing, that's just standard corporate influence into the political structure. We've seen that in regards to the rise of fascism historically, as well as in more contemporary times, that the rise of fascism coincides with both this like attempt at like a strong man with a sort of like cult of personality psychologically, and this, standard reactionary politics mixed in with what could be with these sort of corporate interests trying to, court influence with these state powers in order to make sure that their interests, their profits are kept in line. We've seen that already previously with President Trump pardoning Trevor Milton, who paid lots of money towards towards Trump's campaign, and who also committed fraud against many investors who invested in Milton's company known as Nikola, I believe. So this is just one in regards to that payment thing. It's the standard fascist playbook in how a fascist government develops. It has where the government becomes more and more intertwined with corporate interests, either by having the corporations court to what is increasingly becoming a kind of dictatorship, or in regards to whether they have sort of a mutual beneficial thing where it becomes what Mussolini would have called corporatism. In regards to the building of this huge ballroom, plated with gold on almost everything, if I remember correctly, co-aligning with the posts from the Department of Homeland Security, from the comments by these supposedly public officials, the "your mom" comments to journalists. There is a theory on the internet, kind of tongue-in-cheek, called "everybody is 12 now," where I want this massive ballroom filled with gold-plated thing, gonna have 1,000 people in it. Oh, of course you do. You're 12. It
used to be the greater internet fuckwad theory.
And I want to fight the police dressed as a unicorn. I mean, everyone is 12, but I enjoy that type of.
Anyway,
I have a take on the ballroom.
I want to answer Dustin's question really quickly, though. We bought the naming rights. It is LP Alliance presents the Trump Ballroom. Point here for maximum effect. Go on.
So there are a few things here, and so I'm going to ramble for just a second.
Oh boy.
On one hand, they're claiming that it's not being built with taxpayer funding. Every one of the businesses just named gets taxpayer funding. So you can say it's not taxpayer funded, but the people paying it are taxpayer funded. And the other big thing is that the White House, the main part of the White House has stayed the same since the War of 1812.
Don't be sentimental, Kyle.
Stick with me. every update to the White House historically has been to increase the functionality of the White House. The West Wing was so that people could work in the White House better. The East Wing was so that in the event of a bombing of Washington, D.C., which seemed likely in World War II, that they could hide in a bunker and it wasn't obvious from the air that it was a bunker. And it's been a historical building since Jackie Onassis, with the Kennedy administration, went through and added history from American history there. It's intended to be the People's Museum. The White House is our house. It is one of the only pieces of property in the entire country that is actually intended to be the people's place. The president serves us. He is in our apartment building in this piece of land of which we are all landlords.
So wait, we are the evil landlord then?
Correct. We are the landlord.
I understand Trump completely now, and I hate us.
Right? Guillotines for all.
Yep.
So the first time Trump was in, Trump ripped out the carpet and the wallpaper and everything, which had just been replaced because he didn't like the colors Obama had chose, and he replaced them with gold. They had previously been colors to work with the historical furniture and everything else was in there. Trump destroyed that furniture. Now Trump's in there again, and this ballroom is twice the size of the entire White House. So
Yeah, it looks
this
ugly.
is our.
it just looks
It's an
ugly.
attempt to create this is why it's an attempt to create a legacy, right? So that's always going to be there. Even if Trump leaves, the ballroom's going to be there. And that's why I think that it should not always be there.
Yeah.
I think lots of things should not always be there.
It's true. But the White House is supposed to be our symbol. It's supposed to be a place that we own. It's on currency because, like, it's one of the things that is American. And I know that a lot of us are anarchists and we don't want there to be a government.
It's
but
been
it is
burned down
supposed to be-
twice. Then maybe it'll survive this, and it'll be
enough.
fixed.
But with
Trump is trying to take that symbol from us and write himself into all of our future history. Trump is trying to destroy something that he doesn't own and make it his when it's ours. Trump is trying to completely change our apartment building without our permission. It's not
As-
okay.
comments are on fire tonight. But no, I mean, I would absolutely call for a demonstration by that ballroom.
I want to respond to Nathan there. I'm not saying that the president is the people's choice. I am saying that his apartment is our property and his job is to serve us. Whether we choose him or not, whether it's a representative thing, whether it's chosen by everyone else, he works for us and not the other way around.
At
He
least
does not get to destroy the
Jacksonian
building.
populism involved a cheese wheel on the White House lawn rather than a gaudy ballroom. And a cheese wheel is much easier to destroy than a ballroom. I have it on good authority.
Right. Trump's last term, it was the Christmas decorations that everyone was all bent out of shape about because
goodness.
they were pretty ugly. And also some of the changes they made to the gardens, they tore down some trees that had been there for like the past several terms and just kind of replaced them with these really generic, low maintenance plants. And that was considered controversial just less than 10 years ago. Now there's a fucking ballroom twice the size of the White House being built onto the White House.
And finally, in Trump policy news, we didn't get to this last week. We're getting to it now. The Trump administration is planning on setting price floors to combat China. Here's the problem. And this comes from a quote. There are a couple problems. First, there's a quote where Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says that when you are facing a non-market economy like China, then you have to exercise industrial policy. Here's the thing. China has never been about let's have a military invasion of the United States and take it over. When you're fighting an ideological war, you are trying to transform ideology. And you do that if you're a materialist by transforming the material conditions. So if you get a putatively free market nation to affect industrial policy, then you are working toward that ideological dominance that the PRC is seeking. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that they're combating China's economic dominance, especially in the range of rare earths. I am going to quote something from an article that I wrote 3 years ago, and it's still true. This was on NRO.
This is Amanda Griffiths quoting her favorite author, Amanda Griffiths.
National Review. American industries previously led the world in manufacturing and refining rare earth alloys. Metallic blends often found in the devices that power hybrid and electric engines, wind turbines, medical and military equipment, and other climate-friendly technologies. But in 1980, the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, NRC, revised its definition of nuclear weapons source material, and heavy rare earth byproducts got lumped into the mix. The change, made in tandem with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, subjected rare earths to a bevy of regulatory and licensing barriers that all but extinguished rare earth processing across the West. Barred from handling what could be lucrative waste rock containing what the NRC and IAEA now call source material, commercial mines could no longer extract the rare earth minerals that are abundant in the thorium, uranium, and phosphate tailings produced by routine mining operation. So, America and Europe's failure to roll back the red tape tying their own industry's hands means that the Chinese still mine and process most of the rare earths produced today. Although it has only about 1/3 of the world's rare earths reserves, China now accounts for 60% of global rare earths mined and 85% of rare earth processing capacity. The United States can change that. So what needs to happen here is that we actually have the ability to make use of the vast quantities of tailings or byproducts containing recoverable rare earths today. We don't have to build new mines. If we and our allies could process our existing rare earth byproducts rather than disposing of them, at least as of 2022, the recovered metals would compensate approximately 65% of worldwide rare earth demand. That is right now, that is without opening any new mines. We have the capacity to compensate for this today. There's no reason for price floors. We need to break regulatory ceilings. We needed to do this 3 years ago. We need to do it now. No subsidies required. No floors required.
I'm a little confused. The price floors would be on what exactly? Because price floors are supposed to limit what the minimum price is,
Yes.
meaning...
Yeah. So they're basically supposed to make us pay more for American products.
To prevent new competitors from coming up and being able to offer the same product at a lower price. They're a handout to existing corporations. And as we've repeatedly established throughout history, price controls tend to not be such a great idea.
I think my brain is breaking a little
Yeah.
bit. So
Yeah.
I would understand a price ceiling, because a price ceiling, you try to keep certain like products cheaper. That way, the
Right.
American populace are more likely to purchase those American products that are kept artificially cheaper. A price floor would make it that the products would be kept at an artificially more expensive cost. If these are supposed to be price floors on American products.
Yes.
Mhm. It's
So
like
in
putting
order-
regulatory burdens in the way to limit competition.
You're not crazy, John Trump is.
Yeah. Yeah.
China, at least the current Chinese economy is specifically based on a form of what probably would be the most best example of what could be called state capitalism, in which the state, while it does have these interests in these sort of corporations, they do play very well in the market game, whether that be trade, especially when it comes to international trade. If we have fascism over here with this corporatist sort of marriage with the political state, China has its own version of it that I wouldn't say necessarily milder. I think there's still that issue, but because it seems to be less of a pompous and more of like a kind of utilitarian approach is probably the best way I can put it, where the focus is on economic domination by playing the market well, not even like the necessarily forces of imperialism per se, or the direct use of force, but playing the market well in order to have these either other nations more economically dependent on China and have these better trade relations, making it a greater superpower. By going in this industrial route, this more protectionist route, it becomes making everything topsy-turvy, where somehow China is becoming, at least internationally, there's of course, the regulations probably within the country, but internationally speaking, becoming more free market than the United States in that case, which is a bit ridiculous to say, but it kind of is basically devolving into that, and it's sort of,
Well, we
I
have
don't
the
know, I guess I'm at a little
cronyism.
bit of a loss of word.
We have the
Right. I mean,
cronyism
the
here.
U.S. has been trying to limit competition for a long time. Like the whole idea of the MAGA movement and the right-wing populists was that, too much of our labor has been outsourced. We need to bring manufacturing back to America, and they want strict regulations on imports and on manufacturing in the U.S. and
Well, and so
Just-
here,
go ahead.
as I said about the 65% of rare earth demand today, satisfied today, if we just allow ourselves to use the tailings and roll back the NRC and IAEA regulations that prevent us from doing that, 65% of the global rare earth demand, we could do that, but instead, the Trump administration has struck a deal with MP Materials, which is the largest U.S. rare earth miner, that includes an equity stake, a price floor, and an offtake agreement. Okay, so we're going to allow this one corporation to do the rare earth mining that the others can't do because of the regulations, and they're going to set the price floors, and they've got a nice equity stake thanks to the Trump administration. This is cronyism at its finest. This is merging Chinese and U.S. policy. Summit. Am.
Good reason.
Final thoughts on our wonderful industrial wonderland where armed state police are roaming the streets.
It's only temporary, guys. It's only temporary. We're going to have our utopia. We
We're gonna have a
promise.
ballroom.
We're going to have a ballroom. We're going to have unicorns and
They're
we're
literally
going to have
unicorns right now.
jobs for all Americans. We're going to have a society of people who look just like us.
ICE agent was actually trying to poop a rainbow. He didn't quite get it right. He, in fact, wet his pants, but he was trying to poop a rainbow just like the unicorn. And we're getting from our producer, Jeremy, who's a wonderful person, I will also be more okay with it if we have a national breakdancing competition in the ballroom. There we go.
Maybe that's how the next president is going to be decided. It's going to be a breakdancing competition. I could get behind that. It would weed out all these geriatrics, I think.
I think we should have a national...
You have to be in extremely good shape to do breakdancing.
National anthem of the USSR sing-off.
If Trump actually breakdances, I'll give him,
you have to sing it while breakdancing.
That would be impressive.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Final thoughts, people.
I think in regards to like what is happening, nationally, I think at least the Libertarian Party, like the Libertarian movement, not just like the Libertarian Party, can do itself some good in regards if it is choosing to be more radical in opposing Trump when it comes to the tariffs, when it comes to the ICE enforcement, when it comes to basically just accepting the past policies that the original, almost the semi-original people who were in charge of the Libertarian Party in 1978 and like those earlier years were basically doing. They were more radical, and I think we do need a more radical kind of politics in regards to being opposed to ICE, being opposed to the authoritarianism of the Trump regime when it comes to whether it's, even if it's like working with whatever, the like scary leftists, the scary Antifa, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't fucking give a hell anymore. Those kinds of people are doing more, at least personally, in their own individual lives as they can, in order to fight off some sort of tyranny, than a good amount of the people who call themselves libertarians, whether in the party or in party leadership.
Well,
And I
they think that, they think that as long as they ally with people who pay lip service to liberty and free markets, as long as you're engaging in behavior they approve of, they think that they'll be just fine. Oh, we're not those scary leftists. We condemn them. We side with these three-letter agencies. Now, can we please have just a little bit more liberty? I went on a rant about this on, I think, the second to last episode already.
You heard us, everyone. Be a scary leftist, dress in a unicorn suit, storm the ballroom. With a unicorn suit. You must be wearing a unicorn suit or some kind of Reptar costume.
Anyway, sorry.
Reptar. Sorry.
Gotta find that Reptar. Okay. Anyhow, thank you all so much for joining us. Comments were lit tonight, and I appreciate it. We all do. We will see you on Tuesday for another Solidarity stream. We're probably going to do another LPA Spotlight stream. We're going to figure that out. And on Thursday, we are back with another episode of The Business List. If you want to get involved, join us on Discord, discord.gg/LP-Alliance. You follow us on the social media at LP_allies on X. As always, check out and contribute to the torch.media. We're always getting great things up, and I owe Phil edits for his article, his first article.
Make sure to support us right here with this QR code. And also, join, as you can see at the bottom.
As always, our movement is stronger with you. Until next time, we are The Business List. We're gonna say anarchy, and we're gonna say anarchy. Full transparency. Now I wanna see anarchists on the business list. Destroy!